him. The American administration, over the past week at least, has also been keen to show that it understands Turkey's position in terms of having a terror group just a few dozen kilometers from its border. What are the strategic issues here in terms of the Americans leaving the Turkish position regarding the YPG?
Well, with the Americans leaving, Turkey obviously wants to launch an operation east of the Euphrates. Now, this is not contingent on the Americans leaving. They've wanted to do this since the summer of 2018, when the Manbij roadmap was being planned out. So there's no change in the Turkish stance. There's only a change in what the United States is doing. Of course, the U.S. leaving makes the operation east of the Euphrates less complicated for the Turks, as there's no chance of a friendly fire accident. Now, when we look at Donald Trump's tweets, we see that he talks about the YPG as the Kurds. Now, when we look at the YPG in their area and their political arm, the PYD, they're not the Kurds, and there's many reasons why they don't represent the Kurds. There's about 4 to 6 million Syrian Kurds, let's say. And when we look at the Syrian Kurds in relation to the Middle East as a peoples of the Middle East, we look at other Middle Eastern countries, and we look at the YPG's ideology, a far-left Marxist-Leninist group, borderline communist. In which Middle Eastern nation do we see a far-left, borderline Marxist-Leninist group with a majority? Nowhere. They're usually between 1%, 5%, maybe 10% support. And the Kurds are no different. They're people of the Middle East. The YPG does not enjoy any type of support that they claim they enjoy. Now, when you arm one little group out of the Syrian Kurds, which is the YPG, the U.S. arming the YPG, training them, educating them, giving them money, of course they're going to oppress the opposition, they're going to assassinate, extort, intimidate the opposition. And when this happens, they become the only voice. But this is not a naturally selected voice. This is a voice out of circumstance now. You have many other Kurdish groups in the area which do not have a militarized wing, which only try to represent their people, but the YPG has now become dominant because of all these weapons they've gotten from the U.S., and hence they portray themselves as the Kurds. But this is not the truth. This is nothing near the truth. This is now a superficial balloon created by the United States.
You touch on two very sensitive issues for Ankara there. The weapons that the YPG have supplied by the United States. At the moment, the position seems to be, the last I saw was that the Americans said they won't take those weapons back, which was supposed to be the deal between Ankara and Washington. The other of training. About a month ago, the American administration said it would train 30,000 of our allies in Syria, which presumably would include many, many members of the YPG. These are extremely important issues for the future of that part of Syria where Turkey has the biggest concerns.
Now, it's not whether America won't take the weapons back or they want to take them. They can't take the weapons back. What are they going to do? Go door to door, knock on the door, and say, "Hey, let me get my weapons back"? It's not feasible. They can't get their weapons back. And besides, those weapons are probably not even in the hands of the YPG anymore. We had a chance to talk to former SDF commander Talil Silo. He was in Istanbul, and I talked to him, and he was telling me that when he signed for these weapons, there was no condition of giving these weapons back. And after they signed for them and put them in their warehouse, PKK members would come and take a portion of these weapons and take them to private warehouses. So taking these weapons back is not feasible. It's not reality. It's not going to happen. Now, as for the training, the U.S. talked about training 35,000 to 40,000 SDF members. Now, 80% of the SDF is YPG. It's a huge majority YPG organization, the SDF. So all we're going to see going forward is more training of this YPG. We're going to see them become more militarized, better trained, stronger fighters, and this is going to help them carry out more attacks on Turkish soil, which is something they've done. There's clear evidence linking the YPG to terror attacks. When we look at the amount of domestic terror attacks carried out by the PKK, and we look at Turkey's cross-border operations, we see a direct correlation. After every cross-border operation, there's a decline in domestic terror attacks. This is showing that Turkey is targeting the right people in Syria and Iraq.